Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here. On this Thursday, it is snowing again, as expected up here at Whistler Blackcomb. So we're still seeing that rich feed of moisture hit the Pacific Northwest and a lot of BC. I mean, look at that snow coming down off the Glacier Express up there at just about 7,000 feet. Still rain at the base area. Looking at a rain snow line that's been holding steady at about 6,000 feet up there. Look at the Whistler Peak cam right there. That's at about 7,160. There's your Rendezvous Lodge at 6,100 snowing, and 6,000 feet looking at snow right there off the Roundhouse camera. So very similar to what we saw yesterday. Here's your radar across a lot of the Pacific Northwest and the West in general. So the low really hasn't moved much. It's still kind of right in here, and so that's pushing the bulk of the moisture up into the Pacific Northwest, BC, and a little bit kind of streaming across the interior, but again, very slow. But in the coming days, 10:3 through about 10:6, this low will break off and move into the interior, and that's where we're going to see a storm system develop for Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, northern Utah, parts of Colorado, and it's going to be a windy one as well. Talk more about that coming up. Let's zoom into Washington State here out of Seattle. Your radar, again, just a big stream of moisture rolling north. In Washington State, it looks like the rain snow line's running about where it was yesterday at about 8,000 feet there. Rain snow line BC, coastal range 6,000, interior BC 8,000 foot rain snow line. But that's our storm system. Now, eventually, and this is the next thing to happen, it will break away on 10-3, 10-4, 10-5, 10-6, and move into the Intermountain West and become a storm system with very windy conditions, especially Wyoming, Colorado, maybe even parts of Utah, 40 to 80 mile an hour winds, maybe even stronger over some of the high peaks of Colorado. And you can see the best odds of snow right here over the very highest peaks. There's at least 2 surges here through Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, and also up into parts of BC right now. So let me show you what the satellite, the water vapor satellite imagery looks like at this point. So there's our area of low pressure. Everything is sort of spinning around it. Boy, you can really see the flow around this thing. It's basically like this. The whites, the blues, that's going to be the bulk of your moisture in the atmosphere here. And it's, again, just all sort of rotating around that area of low pressure. Now, eventually, this energy you see coming around the base will start to break away, and that's what's going to move into the interior states and become a storm system. Whereas right now, it's very dry. Look at all this dry air across Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. That's essentially what that orange air, that orange and red color, that is just drier air. And that's what's sitting there right now. So let me just let me take you into the forecast radar here. So this is what the radar should look like in the future. Now we'll start this off. At about lunchtime today. So, all right, this is, and there it is, at valid lunchtime today. Let me get there it is, boom. So here's our area of low pressure. You can see all the moisture streaming in with this area of low pressure. All right, let's move this ahead in time. So here we are, dinner time tonight. Look at that pretty nice line of moisture there through parts of Nevada and Idaho. All right, here we are early morning hours on Friday. So your area of low pressure is now on the move, and there's a cold front right here, and that's the leading edge of the precipitation, and wind will be building with this. And when you see these brighter greens, and once you were to break into the yellows and the oranges, that would be a more intense area of precipitation or heavier amounts of precipitation. This is what the radar should look like in the future. All right, here we go. This is lunchtime on Friday. Here's dinner time on Friday. And notice what we've got. The transition continues. There's your front, so everything continues to slowly move into the Intermountain. You've got snow there developing across Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, maybe even some precip developing in northern Utah and a little bit in Colorado. Snow levels are going to start out high in a lot of these places, 11, 12, 13,000 feet, but eventually that snow level will drop down. Okay, here we are. This is early on Saturday morning. And boy, you've definitely got some snow happening there in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, most likely in Utah as well, with cooler air coming in, and it's also going to be very windy. All right, here we are, lunchtime on Saturday. Now there's dinner time on Saturday right there. There's dinner time, and your main area of low pressure is right here. So a couple of things. When you see this type of storm track where it kind of comes through Idaho, Wyoming, and then it moves out into the plains, that does a couple of things. So most of the cooler or colder air is going to be to the north of that track. It's going to be up that way. So that leaves the southern area down here through a lot of Utah and Colorado, southern Wyoming, on the windy, drier side of the storm track. So expect high winds, especially in Colorado with this. It's really going to pinch that pressure gradient. But that's quite a bit of snow up here in the parts of Wyoming and Montana. All right, so there's late on Saturday into early Sunday, and notice the track of the low pressure continues to roll right through Wyoming. It doesn't put a lot of precip down in parts of Colorado with this type of storm track. It's more wind than anything else. Let me show you what that could potentially look like. So this is a point forecast. This is for areas around Long's Peak in Colorado, above generally 12,000 feet. So there's Thursday. Up at the top, there's Friday, there's Saturday, October 4th, and then there's Sunday, October 5th right there. So I want you to notice it's very calm. This would be around the Long's Peak area. It's very calm through Friday. And then on Saturday, look at how the wind, this red line, these are wind gusts pick up. Look at this. By the afternoon of Saturday, we're looking at a sustained wind of 51 miles per hour and wind gusts of 80 miles per hour. And there really isn't much snow indicated here, maybe a couple, 3 inches at most. And you can see the temperature dropping. That's the red line. So as the front comes through, it's tracking through Wyoming. So what it does to Colorado is it's windy. The temperature will drop, and there's just a little bit of snow. So not looking at a lot of precipitation there. In Colorado. So again, you can see it here, those red dots all increasing. Those are the wind gusts up to 80. The temperature goes down, and there's a little bit of precip, a little bit of snow up there. Let's look at the middle of the atmosphere here. You can really see it all come together. Again, this is at about 18,000 feet. There's your drop in pressures off the west coast. This is effective today. And there are your higher pressures in the red and the orange, the yellow colors right there. Let's go to Saturday the 4th, really the height of this storm system. There's our area of low pressure, dip in the jet stream right there. The low's moving in this direction. And then there's another, looks like a low up there in the parts of Canada. One more slide down the road here with pressure anomalies. This is on Thursday the 9th. And there's another area of low pressure dropping in, but also look at this, a little tropical system here might get drawn into the flow. So that came from the south and it's moving towards the north. So that, if the timing is right and that low comes out at the same time, it may pick up some of that moisture by 10-9, 10-10, 10-11 and pull that into the flow. So it's a pretty active pattern. A lot of these lows appear to be moving into the Pacific Northwest BC, Northern California, and then dropping down into the Intermountain West. Let's look at, let me load this up here 1 second, because this is really interesting. So this is a time height forecast for Bear Lake in Colorado in Rocky Mountain National Park. I'll be brief with this, but the timeline starts here and it moves in this direction into the future. You're looking at a slice of the atmosphere. It's mainly dry, lots of dry colors here. Drier air, that's what that is, the humidity levels. Now there's a couple little itty bitty areas of green there between the 4th to 5th. That's the storm system, but recall the main storm track is up in Wyoming, leaving most of Colorado on the drier side. Not completely dry, but on the drier. Now look what happens. Winds are very light initially, but look at some of the folding that happens right here. You see this peak and some of these wind barbs. You see these? Some of these wind barbs, and you can see some of them are flagged down here at the ridge top and the high peak area, meaning you can see some of the triangles on those wind barbs. That's high winds. That's a piece of the jet moving in, and so you can really see the folding and the pinching of that pressure gradient coming in those high winds. Very interesting. We'll look more at that in the wintertime. The snow forecast, 10-day snow forecast is pretty impressive. Wherever you see those pinks, I mean, that's over 6 inches. That's a lot of Montana, a lot of Wyoming, and to some degree, you've got that in the High Uintas, and even some of that is happening in the High Sierra. Again, 10-day snow forecast. So it's not just from one storm, this could be from two or three. But then you've got a lot of snow indicated here through Alberta, parts of northern Montana, BC, coastal range. So there's a lot of snow indicated here. Let's do a little bit of a zoom and inspect some of this. So this is the view out of Wyoming, a little bit of Utah and Colorado, Montana. And again, I mean, over the Wind Rivers, this is probably going to be easily 6 to 12 inches. Yellowstone, the Bighorn, 6 to 12. A little less here over the Tetons, maybe 6, up to 6. But this could be 6 plus over the top of the Wind Rivers or of the top of the High Uintas. The Wasatch might see up to 6 inches of snow. Might see. And then in Colorado, it appears to be under 6 inches. Up in the parts of Montana, the Absaroka, Beartooth, that appears to be 6 to 12 inches, at least from my vantage point. Let's do a little bit of a move to the north here. This is up in Montana. I mean, look at some of these numbers up here in Glacier, bleeding up into parts of BC. I mean, you're looking at 6 to 12 inches. You can see an 18 right there. So those are pretty big numbers. Even parts of Idaho outside of Sun Valley over the higher peaks could be looking at up to 6 inches of snow. One more map for you. We'll go into Colorado and prove my point again that if the storm track stays up in Wyoming, it really leaves Colorado on the drier side. I mean, we've seen this so many times with this type of storm track. It's more wind than anything else. Sure, you could pick up 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches of snow, but this is going to be wind and a little bit of snow with this type of scenario. All right, guys, thanks for allowing me to humor you with this update. Always fun to see what's out there. Have fun with some of the graphics. I appreciate you tuning in here. Take care and have a great day.